Hey you guys, welcome to another Patreon exclusive episode of The Litter Box. As always, my name is Bryan Paul, and man, I felt real bad that this is going up so late. You know, I'm a creature of habit. I like my schedules. I like things to air when they're supposed to air because, I mean, not only for your sake, but also for my sake. Like, I like when something's done and I can kind of like put it away, you know? But for days now, I've been thinking about this Litter Box episode, and it's finally time to do it at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, that's right. Wednesday night, Thursday morning, 2 a.m. Just beginning my night of work. So I wanted to do the Litter Box first before I do my breaking news report, so that I can spend the time. Like if I start to get tired or something, like, you know, I'd rather have the breaking news report be when I get tired. I'm answering every single one of your questions for the AMA. That's kind of where I'm getting at. I felt bad that this took so long to get around to, and you know I fucking love you guys. So I didn't want anyone feeling left out. I didn't want to just pick my favorites. So let's get right to it. The very first, man, a lot of you fuckers have asked so many questions. It's okay. Otherwise, well, what else would I be doing, right? So the first one, Deputy Meow, known as Game Cat. I wrote, I didn't sign up for the extra content. Oh, well, you can, yep. Just really to support y'all because I really believe in what you guys do, but I have been pretty curious to know what your favorite punk bands are. I don't know what everyone else's favorite punk bands are. One of my favorite stories of recent memory is that Dez just discovered Bad Religion. It's like, how is that a thing? Was it Bad Religion? Yeah, I think so. Like we were talking about like Social D and like Mike Ness and like all these different like punk bands of the era, and I said something about Bad Religion, and then like a couple days later he goes, I like Bad Religion. It's like, what? I love Bad Religion. I think Bad Religion is fantastic. It reminds me of high school all the time. Social Distortion, of course, great bands, but this is tough, man. This is really tough because, like, but what do I listen to like now? I've got to say that I honestly listen to Green Day, and so obviously I delve into the pop punk, right? The poppier punk, right? So Green Day I think is good. You know, obviously I got into Dookie when that came out. That was like junior high or something for me, and then I saw them live on their Insomniac tour, which was only like the next year or something like that, which was awesome. And then of course, you know, especially when you're in high school, you dive back and you like have to get all the old stuff. And so 1039, Smoothed Out, Slappy Hours, and Kerplunk. I was like, this is amazing. This is the stuff that no one knows about, you know, which is fun. It's really fun when you think you know, you're like privy to music that no one else is privy to. But I have to say that, like, and I don't think My Chemical Romance fits into the punk genre, but holy fuck, if you guys don't, this is tough, right? This is really tough to sell people on because My Chemical Romance is a band that like your 14-year-old sister liked like 10 years ago, right? They have that kind of reputation, but holy fuck, if you don't listen to the Black Parade and immediately fall in love with them, then you're missing like cells in the lining of your heart. It's unbelievable. In fact, I'm like notorious at this point. I've been saying this for like fucking forever, probably 10 years now, that the Black Parade is our generation's, and I'm saying our, meaning probably the one after mine. It's our Pink Floyd The Wall, or our Wish You Were Here. Like it's of that monumental importance. Again, you have to step outside of your comfort zone to like that. Also, the Pink Spiders. The Pink Spiders. Man, I lived in Tennessee for so long, and I think the Pink Spiders are from Tennessee. If you don't know them, I won't be surprised. But the album Teenage Graffiti, awesome, fucking awesome from beginning to end. Pink Spiders, Teenage Graffiti, My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade. These are really the only two albums you need in life. Might have oversold that just a little bit. Next up, oh hey, Deputy Meow, known as Game Cat. Hey again. Boy, you know what? I'm glad I brewed some fresh coffee for my 2 a.m. filming. I don't know why I keep looking at my wrist. There's no watch there. Deputy Meow writes, also, the extra content is really good too. Thank you. I appreciate that. After checking it out, it was a nice surprise, and then became interested. But yeah, I love NoFX. Offspring. Offspring's good. Didn't hold up as much as I'd like them to. Old AFI. Yep. Bad Religion. Hey. And it had me curious as to know what your favorites are. Did I not just answer that? And what music in general y'all are into. Also, what instrument do you play? I started out on bass. I played drums, guitar, and sing now, too. Thanks. Other than punk music, or, you know, music with that edge to it, Josh Ritter. Josh Ritter is the best singer-songwriter, like, maybe of all time. I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan, but man, Josh Ritter has the voice, he has the style, he has the lyrics, he has everything. And I think some of his newer stuff is a little questionable, but man, like his second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth album are just like some of the best things ever written. Also, man, oh man, oh man, Bright Eyes. Again, something your 14-year-old sister liked 10 years ago, but I think, in general, I am your 14-year-old sister from 10 years ago. I just subscribe to like everything. You know my iCarly obsession. Can we move on? Oh yeah, I play guitar. I dabble in bass. I dabble in any other stringed instrument. I have a cello player that hasn't seen me for about a year because of this channel. She and I used to go out all the time together under a band named Max's Monsters. And it was just us, a duet. I play my acoustic guitar and sing, and she would play cello, and it was fucking beautiful. It's a great sound, and because of this channel, I literally haven't seen her in a year. She every so often she texts me and says she misses me, and I'm like, I miss you too. And then I pull my guitar out and I play one of our old songs. I wrote all the songs, except for one and a half. And I do fancy myself a fairly decent songwriter. I've been writing for pretty much my whole life, ever since I was like 14 or 15. Again, it's something that kind of goes away if you don't use it. So I would like to maybe get back into songwriting a little bit so I don't lose that skill. Moving on, Stimson J. Cat wrote, have you thought about maybe getting some PSVR Without Parole merchandise? You have a flair for design, so I think you'd come up with some funky t-shirts. And I'd love to show off my GameCat affiliation with pride. Maybe throw up a few ideas and we could help you decide on which ones to stick on a spreadshirt. On a spreadshirt? T-shirt, I'm guessing. Or maybe a sweatshirt. I don't know. Or whatever. I love the manga style of the PSVR Without Parole banner head, by the way. That was made by, oh god, Tay. What is Tay's first name? Benjamin Tay. Loyal GameCat Benjamin Tay submitted that fan art, and we couldn't be happier. It was our first piece of fan art, I think. And holy crap, dude, what an amazing drawing that banner is. Thank you, Benjamin Tay, for that. I know you're mad busy, but worth investigating, and it could be a little nice bit of extra cash for the channel. Extra cash for the channel is like always appreciated. But here's the deal with t-shirts. T-shirts or spread shirts, they're really difficult. They're like they're a money pit, right? And so like a lot of people don't make a lot of money off of t-shirts, and here's why. Because you end up giving away too many of them. You know, you go do a show, you go do an event, and you just hand them out as promotional things, which is fine. You know, I've got 1,000 Without Parole pens, and I've given away all of them. It's crazy. I've also got thousands of Without Parole business cards, all given away. That's sort of like how business works, right? And if that's not how it works, somebody let me know. I don't know anything about business. But t-shirts are like this whole separate beast, right? Because there's like extra small, medium, large, extra large, double extra large, triple extra large, and you end up sitting on a bunch of of shirts in sizes that nobody wants, and you just never get your money back. So I think if we do this, which I think it's a great idea, because I would love, you know, I love the idea of people like worldwide. We have worldwide viewers. You know, anytime I check the subscriber base, there's always like 2 in Germany. I was like, there's 2 people watching in Germany, right? 1 in Vietnam. I'm like, what are you doing over there, right? So I like the idea of like those 1 or 2 people in every country just sporting a GameCat shirt. That's phenomenal to me. But what we might have to do is take pre-orders, right? So that way I don't just throw a bunch of money down the drain, and like I don't want to screw you guys and like make a huge profit off of you or anything. But what I would like to do is make sure that every shirt that we get printed up finds a home, right? And is paid for maybe before I buy it. So good idea. Let's talk more about that in the future. Near future. I always say these things like, oh, we'll get around to it, and I just never do. Like the MP3 thing took like a year. But this one's a good one. I like it, and we'll figure something out soon. Next up, Justin Sadowski. What is up, buddy? Will you guys ever go back to talking about retro video games at some point, even if it's just a monthly segment or something? All right. See, everything people want, right? Somebody said in the comments of I think PSVR Theater. Sorry, Jeremy's not here. It threw me off. They said they wanted like just a maybe like an hour-long episode once a month, right? Of theater or the Gamescast, you know, where we don't put any time limits on anything. With our current schedule, with Jeremy working like a dog and like dealing with his kids, like raising his kids, I should say, and Michelle having just given birth, and who else? Dez. Oh God, Dez works like 17 jobs, has a wife and 2 kids. Our schedule is out of control, right? The fact that I get any of them in here for even the amount of time that I do is surprising. It's shocking, and I'm super glad that they give me even that much time. In return, when they go online, people know who they are. It's a very small. It's a very small return I've given them. I've never paid them anything. I do try to get them as many free games as possible so that, you know, they don't have to spend money to do the thing. But Jesus, but yeah, no, they volunteer their time as I do. So here's the thing about that: the retro video game segment would be fantastic, but just like everything else that everybody else wants, the morning show, the fabled, inevitable, eventual morning show is the only fair place for this to happen, right? Me and one other person sit at this table, ripping off Kind of Funny. We sit around this table and we talk for like an hour every day, live. This is the deal. Monday to Friday, an hour-long morning show where we talk about the day's news, right? But you can't just talk about daily video game news for an hour. There's too much stuff. Or that's too much time for daily news. So obviously this would be like when we dive into like retro gaming. It could be like retro game Thursdays or retro game Fridays, where like, you know, whatever the slowest news day of the week is, we talk about retro games, you know, or we, you know, we shoot the shit and talk about comic books, like whatever the hell it is that we feel like talking about. God, I would have loved to get back into comic books. That sounds like an epic idea. Ah, man. This all takes time, and it's all time we don't have, because the problem is we all work, and until we don't have to work, then I can only give you what I'm giving you right now. When we don't have to work anymore, I'll give you whatever you want, right? We will make all of this happen. Moving on. Hey, it's Justin Sadowski again. Man, my ears keep popping. It's late. Like everything is like weird stuff is happening right now. My body's like shutting down on me. I drinking coffee. It's like, no, Bryan, why are you doing that? Stop drinking coffee. It's 2 a.m. I'm like, there's a breaking news report to do. There's a whole conversation happening here. Glad you could be part of it. Justin Sadowski writes, what does your family think about the channel? Have they ever watched it? Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the detailed version of this answer goes back 2 years or 2.5 years, whenever the fuck I started the channel. And when me and Mike Zeller would sit around my little pub table, and we'd drink coffee, and it'd be early in the morning, and we'd talk about games, any games, whatever we were playing that week, retro games, current games, it didn't matter. And man, it was like, man, they were long. It was like hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, exactly what some of you are looking for now. And we were very, very much learning how to do this. I said recently, you should only go back about like 20 or 30 episodes ever. Otherwise, you just run into like a huge steaming pile of us learning how to do this job, right? People making fun of my reviews, like from a year ago, I'm like, it's crazy what this past year has done. Like I look back at some of those old reviews, I'm like, holy crap, man! Like I have learned a lot this year, right? I'm learning every single day. I'm learning something new, and maybe I don't realize it, but hopefully everything I ever do is better the next time I do it. So at first, when we were publishing these hour and 45-minute podcasts in one big chunk, I remember my dad, who's also a gamer, he's like, I don't know. He wasn't interested. And I was like, that's cool. I'm like, I'm just your kid. But he also didn't like the swearing. And was very adamant that, he wasn't going to watch if we were swearing, and also adamant that, like, other people would never watch if we were swearing. Like, if it was not family friendly, then it's never going to catch on. And as much as I love my dad is like one of my heroes. I respect everything he's ever tried to teach me. I say tried because I very seldom listen. He's in this particular instance, I had a vision for this channel, and I was like, I want all of us to sit around all the time and be ourselves. And if we can't swear, then what the fuck are we doing? We need to be able to swear, right? And if you're not interested in hearing us swear, then goodbye, because we're not trying to appeal to the masses, right? We're not yelling and screaming, acting like morons, trying to attract, the 12-year-old kids playing Minecraft. And that's not trying to be mean about 12-year-old Minecraft players or people who have very successful channels doing that. I'm just saying that's not what I wanted. So I ignored my dad, and he ignored the channel. And then when things started taking off, when they kind of started seeing that like people were subscribing, and they kept subscribing, and I gave my mom like a magical subscriber number. I was like, when we hit this subscriber number, I can quit my job and I can do this full time. When I told her that, and like it kind of became a reality, and so she actually checks our subscribers daily. I think sometimes multiple times daily, as I do, and sometimes I'll just get a text, and the text will say like 12,437, and that's it from mom, because she just checked in on the channel to see how close I am to like my goal of doing this for a living. When the day I finally don't have to wait tables anymore. So what do my parents think about it? Well, I think they don't really care about PlayStation VR. But what they care about is that their son's happy doing something that he loves. And they are like super excited for me that like I get to do this. I'm super excited for me that I get to do this too, honestly. Who would have ever thought? So that's what my family thinks of it. I have a brother who is like the busiest person I know outside of me, but he also has a wife and 2 kids. So like, Jesus, like I'm sure he's checked out the channel, but he doesn't have time to watch it. He's proud of me. I'm proud of him. We love each other, but we know that like we'll catch up in a month or two. We don't have to like keep close tabs on each other. So that's it. That's what my family thinks of it. And only this past Christmas, I think, when I saw my extended family, did I realize that they were keeping tabs on me too. That they were like checking every couple months and seeing the subscriber numbers like kind of skyrocket. And they were like, so, they were kind of proud of me, which is surprising. Like, I don't have that kind of relationship with my extended family. Like, we're not proud of each other, but it was kind of cool. So, who's next? Stimson J Cat, the second Stimson J Cat. Everyone posted twice. Stimson J Cat wrote another question, maybe more AMA style than my last one. Well, perfect. Your review style is succinct and clear cut, no waffle. It's a good word, no waffle, but also not too rushed or loud like a lot of YouTube videos. I think we were just talking about this. Did you take inspiration from any other game journalist / YouTuber, or is it purely your own style? How did you define the style you were going to use? What would you do if you were offered a job by IGN or similar? Wow, that's a lot of questions. Classic Game Room Undertow. I don't like Classic Game Room, like CGR themselves, the YouTube channel. Not a fan. But CGR Undertow, which no longer exists. I think the guy's name was Derek, and in all fairness, he was a little on the annoying side, kind of like a I don't want to make fun of stoners because I love stoners, but like sort of like the stereotypical stoner maybe. But like he had this, so I was doing my reviews and I was like way too laid back. I was definitely reading off of a page and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And I was trying my hardest to not be enthusiastic. Right? I'm like, this is me. This is me. This is how I talk to my friends. This is how I hang out. This is who I am. This right here. You know, if you watch the early episodes of Gaming Without Parole with Mike Zeller, then you'll see the NPR Bryan, the guy who's like, for radio, I need to put on this different voice and think really intelligently about everything I'm going to say. And holy crap, man! Like honestly, there are people that can pull that off, but I'm not that person. So like the act had to go, you know? And so when I started kind of being more myself when it came to reviews, people, it's great. On Reddit, you'll hear people say, he sounds so fake. and it wasn't until I started being myself that people thought I was being disingenuous or fake. But also there's like this sound that I make, and it's, I don't know how often I do it in casual conversation, but when I'm reading something, it sounds like I'm like sort of laughing, but it's just like this weird inflection, and it comes across in my reviews. Now, Derek from Classic Game Room kind of inspired me to like loosen up a little bit. He was just reviewing everything, I think, and I was just watching, like I was like just marathoning a bunch of his reviews of games I didn't even care about, but there was something that drew me in, something that I was intrigued about, something that was like, I like his style, and and I think there's a little bit of Derek, God, I hope that's his name, like in every review that I do, unintentionally, but you know, like whenever you create something new, like whenever you create a new show or whenever you like do it, you kind of just take a little bit here, a little bit there. You take from everything, and IO, like every single, God, IO, like IGN, IO, Giant Bomb, IO, Kind of Funny, all of these people, I would take little things from all of them. And there's actually a recent YouTube channel that accused me of stealing their ideas. And I'm like, listen, these ideas have been around forever, and I did steal them, but just not from you. So yeah, it's and even Kind of Funny. I think Colin admitted that he stole the idea for, I want to say, the morning show, or Colin and Greg Live, which turned into the morning show. Jeez, he stole that from like some Sports Center thing. So it doesn't the format doesn't matter. Why am I talking about this? The format doesn't matter. It's the people on the show, right? Like I don't watch enough Kind of Funny anymore because Colin and Greg were my favorite team. And now that Colin's gone, I don't like Colin on his own, and Greg on his own isn't as good without Colin. So I do still tune in, but just not as religiously as I once did. Wow. I really got off topic with that question. So yeah, it's a lot of my own style, but again, I took a lot from everywhere, from everyone else, right? And I appreciate everyone's unique style, and I appreciate I really like how this channel came together, because I don't think there's another show like Why We Love PSVR, and I don't think there's another show like the Gamescast. You know, there might be shows that are similar, but like these, it's exactly what I always wanted it to be. And it took a very, very, very long time for us to get there. But Stimson J. Cat also wrote, how do you find the style you're going to use? No, there's no style, unfortunately. There's no, it's just me talking about a game. I sit at my computer and I type out a review. I used to write it on paper, but I found that typing is way more fun. So, by the way, if anyone plays Scramble, or it's now called Boggle, but if anyone plays Boggle with friends, holy crap, man! I've been addicted to this game for 10 years. It's the only iOS game I play. So The final question by Simpson J Cat was, what would you do if offered a job by IGN or similar? Now, I love this question because if you asked me this 2 years ago, I would have been like, I'm out of here. I'm out of Worcester, and I'm going to go work at IGN, and that's going to be amazing. And it would have been a dream come true. But if IGN called me right now and said, we've got a job for you if you want it, you can walk away from this measly 12,000 subscriber based YouTube channel and come be our PlayStation VR guy, kind of head up the PlayStation VR team or something like that. I've been like, no, I don't want that, because there's a reason Greg and Colin left IGN. There's a reason that everybody leaves IGN. It's because, first of all, they probably don't pay very much, right? This IGN is a great jumping off point for your career if you're a video game journalist or whatever you want to call them. But they don't get paid much. They get a lot of exposure and probably a bazillion Twitter followers. And so whatever they do next, they'll probably be successful in. But I'm already doing the thing I would do next. I've already started that. If I worked at IGN and then started PSVR without Parole, you better fucking believe that we would have started off with like 50,000 subscribers right off the bat and only grown from there, because people would have known who I was. But the fact that we started from nothing, people have no idea who I am, who Jeremy, Dez, Michelle, fucking even earlier than that, Mike Zeller, Brett Zawilski, no idea, right? We had to just keep fucking plugging away at this and keep doing it every single week, even when no one was watching, because eventually someone's going to watch. And eventually, a lot of you started watching. And I couldn't be happier with where we are right now. Again, somebody on Reddit. I don't even know why I go to Reddit sometimes. Somebody on Reddit was telling me that, the way we're doing things is all wrong, and our subscriber base is this tiny little niche audience. And I'm like, you know what? That's totally fine by me, because I've never been happier doing what I'm doing. Like, I know it's not going to pay the bills right now, but 12,000 of you guys, I mean, it's unbelievable. I never thought in a million years we'd be where we are right now. And every day I wake up and there's more subscribers. And every night before I go to bed, I check, there's more subscribers. I'm like, never in a million years. It's awesome, right? So I feel like if I went to IGN, but if they hired me, it would be taking a step backwards, right? Because we've built up something here that I'm very proud of. And the last thing I'd want to do is throw that all away to go work for the man, to go work for Pierre Schneider. I've met Pierre Schneider. He's a really nice guy. But I don't want to be just another person at IGN. I wouldn't mind guest hosting. Now that Greg Miller has started a PSVR show, I wouldn't mind guest hosting that. I'm curious to see what that's going to look like. I don't know. We'll see. I've reached out to him. I've talked to him. He knows I exist, which is nice. But that's a long way from a guest host. Okay, so this is interesting. A Hobbit, which is not his name, because he writes, my username should be a Hobbit, like from the books and films about a ring. Hashtag JRR token. Was a bit drunk, so I typed a Hobbit and kept it when I sobered up. Thing is, can you say on YouTube a copyrighted name? Yeah, you can. You can say Lord of the Rings. You can say a Hobbit. You can say a Hobbit. You can say Ren and Stimpy. Stimson J Cat. You can say whatever you want to, but when you start using like images of those things or clips from shows or clips from movies, that's when you get into fair use problems, and that's when you get into copyright infringement, and that's when people start shutting down your channel. So we try to stay far away from that. Namco has been a bitch, fucking Namco, because when anytime we watch a Namco trailer on PSVR Theater, they hit us with a copyright strike, and so any small amount of money, like the $2 or $3 we're going to make on that video, goes to Namco instead, and not even the 3 other developers or publishers that are featured on that show. Namco's just a little bitch. So fuck you, Namco. But we should. I would love to stop featuring Namco stuff until they change their ways, but we're not going to make a difference. And honestly, the $2 or $3 that we're not making because Namco gets it instead, I'd rather have a quality show and feature the games you guys want to see. But yeah, you can say Hobbit for sure. I think we're going to get back to you. Yeah, we are. Everybody wrote 2 questions. Superstar Mikey Diaz, Game Cat Extraordinaire, writes, branching off on your last AMA, what reeled you into the world of Candy Kids? And he puts a little lollipop. It's nice. Was it the music, the plur mantra, the overhyped BPMs? Do you regret it, or were they the happiest times of your life? Or were they the happiest times? Wow. So if you don't know what Superstar Mikey Diaz, Game Cat Extraordinaire is talking about, I used to be a club kid. I was a candy raver. Yeah, I know. All right, don't judge. Here's how that all went down. One of our best friends in college was a DJ, and he was awesome. He was weird, great guy, but very strange. And that's coming from me. So, you know, and he loved going to parties, raves, right? And man, he was willing to drive everywhere. Like we would go to New York. We'd go to New York City like on a whim. Like we heard that like on this pier there's gonna be a party. And holy crap, were there fucking parties everywhere. We went everywhere. So, you know, and anytime you go to a party, you get a flyer for another one, another rave. And so like we'd take all these flyers home, we'd plaster our walls with them, and we'd go, which one are we going to tonight? And we get all dressed up, and holy crap, I don't know how I fell into the candy raver scene, because my friends, my close friends that I was going to these parties with, they weren't really about that. But here I was with like, trust me, my blood was pulsating with drugs. But I was like, I had every like glowy like bracelet and necklace and anything that flashed and like, and you know, like fucking stupid visors, everything, man. We were just decked the fuck out with the big fucking jeans and shit. It was so dumb. But it was a lot of fun. Was it often scary? Yes. Did I often didn't think we'd make it home alive? Yes. Was it an awesome time of my life? Mostly. Yeah. I'll go with that. I'll go with mostly. How about that? But it was, man, it wasn't the music though. Like here's the thing about electronic music for me. Boring, right? Just boring. And here's why. It's because I'm all about lyrics, right? If I could listen to a song in a genre that I don't even like, and if the lyrics and the singer has a nice voice, I'm gonna give it a shot. If I like the lyrics, because I've always been a lyricist before, whatever we were talking about music before, I've always been a lyricist before I was a musician, right? So lyrics are always what I've been drawn to. There's like no lyrics in 99% of electronic music, or at least the shit we were listening to. And I saw all of the famous DJs of the time spin. I saw all of them. Like, I don't think there's a single one, and trust me, like I had CDs and tapes. I had everything. And so I knew about all of these famous DJs, and we went to see every single one of them. So we went to some pretty big fucking parties, if you know what I mean. And man, I barely remember any of them. Man, we would drink, we would do drugs, we would do everything, and it was fun and it was scary, and holy crap, man! Like I could tell you some crazy ass stories about some of the raves we went to, about the crazy shit we did, about the crazy shit we saw, and about some of the crazy drives home. But maybe for another Litterbox episode, who knows? And who knows? I don't know. My parents probably don't really need to hear this if they happen to be watching. But so it's never been about the music. If the drugs didn't exist, I never would have been at these parties, right? I've been like, whatever, I'm good, right? So, yeah, I'm like, it was a good time, but it was a good time for probably all the wrong reasons. But again, I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for all of this, you know? Michael Mosier writes, what goes into editing the Midnight Games cast every week? What kind of steps do you go through? How much time does it take, etc.? So I know it seems on the surface. That Jeremy fucking King and I sit here and we just goof off for like the better part of an hour and a half, and then we chop it up into 3 segments and then throw it up on the internet. That's what it appears to be. But for like 2 to 3 hours before I even see Jeremy, I am like making sure I have all the weekly news together. I'm making sure I have all the releases that came out this week and last week together. I'm making sure that that I get as much information. I know we don't really watch them ahead of time, but as much information about PSVR theater trailers as possible, and then scouring literally all of the comments to find good ones for viewer takeover, and not to mention people who changed their name to GameCat. See what I'm saying? It takes like 2 or 3 hours just to prepare for a show. The day that Jeremy showed up and I had nothing prepared, holy fuck. Like, I thought that was the end of the world. I'm glad we pulled something out of our ass that day. But that was stressful as all hell because I like to be prepared. You know, I don't want to sit here and read and be like, and this happened, and then this happened, and this happened. But I do always need a reference point. I always need to feel confident that there's information on this paper that I have ready in case I need it. So the other parts about the Gamescast is, so it takes like 2 or 3 hours to prepare for it, not to mention like setting up the cameras and the lights and everything like that. But it also takes forever to do anything around here. So I import all of the new files, the new video, the new audio, into last week's podcast. And so that way all the titles, the lower third where it says our names and all the Patreon information, all that stuff, that's all there from the week before. But man, chopping it up, you know, especially like, I don't want to, we're not like, you know, fucking comedians, but man, Jeremy's funny, right? And so like editing to me has become a skill that I feel like I'm still learning. And knowing when to chop something out, knowing when to keep something, means you really have to watch the entire thing while you're doing it. And I got to say, so however long a segment is, it takes me about 4 times longer to edit it. So like when it's a half an hour Gamescast or half an hour wrap up, it takes about at least 2 hours to edit that, because there I am. I got to make sure the trailers, you know, of any game we're talking about slide in at just the right moment. Usually those are not stored on my computer. Usually I'm using my YouTube downloader to get those files, and you know, and so finding them and downloading them and using them, placing them, and then figuring out whose cat needs to be featured on an episode. You know, did we use this one last week? Who was the next one to send in a picture of their cat? You know, like finding that and making sure like that when it zooms in, it's the right proportion. Too many of you guys take pictures of your cat in portrait mode. What are you doing, man? Everything's in landscape. Everything's in widescreen. So, Jesus, I got to zoom in really close just so there's no fucking, you can't see us behind the picture when it starts. Anyway, landscape, guys, landscape. And that's it. So it takes forever to edit, and it's me. It's just me sitting there at the computer. It takes forever. It takes forever. If we didn't do the Gamescast or Why We Love PSVR, I could probably get like twice as many like 3 times as many breaking news reports done every week. I could get probably an extra review or 2 done every week. There's so many things, but those podcasts, the things that people fucking hated for the longest time, the Gamescast and Why We Love, are things that people just didn't like. We kept getting tons and tons of comments from people who were like, this would be a great 10-minute video. Shorten it the fuck down, script it, and then edit the crap out of it. And I'm like, you're missing the point. They're conversational podcasts. They're supposed to be about losing track of time and about losing track of the topic and just hanging out with friends and enjoying yourselves, talking about video games and sometimes Valentine's Day cards, right? Or whatever it is that happened to be on our mind. Fucking Donnie Darko. Wow, this coffee's kicking in. So I've been like the biggest fan of the way we do our podcasts since day one. I was like, we are not changing this for anybody. We didn't. So I'm glad it kind of caught on. There's like the great thing is there's like 12,000 subscribers right now, but only like 1,500 really watch the Gamescast, and maybe like closer to 2,000 watch Why We Love. And so I know that it hasn't like really caught on, but the fact that 1,500 people watch it every single week is again way more than I could have ever asked for. You know, I remember way early on, like sometimes we'd get up to like 100 viewers on a podcast, and like no comments. And they're like, wow, this is fantastic. 100 people watched us. And we were just mind blown, you know? So 1,500 is like, you know, fuck that Reddit guy. We're really happy with the way things are going, especially since we're doing it our way, the way we want to do it, the way we're having fun doing it. But yeah, it takes forever. It takes forever to edit these things. And then you gotta, I don't know how familiar you are with like video editing, but you gotta render everything before you upload it. Cause you know, you're dealing with like 100 different media files, and then you gotta click that render button and have Premiere like kind of compact it all into one big movie file. That takes forever. We used to render everything in 1080p, but that just takes too long. It takes too long to upload those files. It takes too long to render those files. So now the only thing that's in 1080p are short videos. I want to say breaking news reports because they're like 2 minutes long. It takes almost the same amount of time. And why we love PSVR, I got to say, I do that in 1080p because the backgrounds. I'm so proud of that fake background with the green screen that we use. And Gotham City animating in the background doesn't look good in 720p. So I always edit Why We Love PSVR right before bed and then click the render button, and 7 hours later, it's done. It takes 7 hours to render an episode of Why We Love PSVR, which means my computer is fucking out of service for 7 hours because that's all it can do. Don't touch a computer when it's rendering something or you're in for it, right? My computer's a little bit better than that, but still, don't mess with it. Holy crap, like what does it take to do these things? A lot. It takes a lot of time. I know I say this fucking all the time, and I apologize for saying it ad nauseum, but honestly, I don't have free time. Right? Like I feel bad, man. Like I feel bad. Like I've attempted relationships in the last year that have totally failed because well, I don't want to say I don't have time for them, but I'd rather be spending my time doing this. And we'll see how that goes going forward, because man, if I do find somebody that's okay with the amount of time I spend doing without parole stuff, then I'll know I found real love. We'll see. Holy crap. Mumbleton. The last one was Michael Mosier. Michael Mosier only asked one question? That's crazy. What kind of AMA is this? Mumbleton writes, can you tell us 3 game franchises you would like brought over to PSVR? If I can sneak in my 3, I know we have Windlands, but Attack on Titan, that would be legendary. Also, the Nintendo Wii series Red Steel would be awesome. I guess. And then finally, Jet Set Radio. Yeah. 3 franchises I like to be brought over to PSVR. Holy crap. There are so many games. There's so many games. I mean, I could be super generic. Like the thing that we always say is BioShock, and I don't care about Infinite, whatever. Infinite, I don't think was in a very interesting world. Rapture is an amazing world, and it could be totally done well in VR because, I mean, these are, especially PlayStation VR, these are all like very enclosed environments, right? These are not the big sprawling worlds or anything like that. So like these small tunnels and these smaller rooms and stuff. If Resident Evil 7 can be done, BioShock would be unbelievable. And I want to say something like Grand Theft Auto 5, right? Just because, not because it's a game that I particularly want to play, but it's something that would bring VR into the mainstream. If we got a good version of Grand Theft Auto 5 for PSVR, wow, that would do wonders, right? It would do wonders. And I know Sony and Rockstar have like this great relationship that goes back like fucking forever. You know, Grand Theft Auto 3 launched on PlayStation 2 exclusively, and it was exclusive for like years. So I would love to see those two companies get in bed with each other and like make a deal and say, this is something we need to make happen. Oh man, ears keep popping. Man, I don't know. It's really tough to say, and it's not because I can't think of any, but it's because I can probably think of too many, to be honest with you. I think the Resistance series, I would love to see a game like Resistance 3, which is actually my favorite one. I know most people like 2. Or a game like Infamous in first person. Can you think, man, remember when Cole would fly, but he didn't really fly. He he kind of just like put his hands down by his side like this, and he'd like hover and force himself like up off the ground. And that felt powerful on a 2D screen. But can you imagine having the move controllers in your hand and just doing that and then lifting off the ground? Oh man, that would be amazing. And then just like boom, 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 boom with the move controllers like firing off shots. Holy crap. I want Infamous. And not Second Son. Delson was alright, but come on, Cole was way cooler. I want Infamous in VR, first person. Yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah, and I'll go with Resistance because I really like the aim controller needs to find a home in a new game, and that would be amazing. Killzone never was like my series. It was always like really hard. But also like Resistance, I like the sci-fi edge it had, more of a sci-fi edge for sure. And then man, I want to say something like Shadow of the Colossus, so I can finally play that game again. It's still wrapped in the cellophane somewhere. Or Eco, even like Eco had like those big environments and stuff. That was, yeah, just like anything that, or The Last Guardian, anything that Team Eco wants to bring to us, I'm totally down. Whatever you want to do, just because those worlds are beautiful, and I'd like to play through those in VR, first person, please and thank you. Sounds good. The second I turn off the camera, I'm going to think of like 50 more. Ahobit, also known as A Hobbit, writes, how much of the Parole team's time goes into the channel? Well, as I said, all of my time goes into the channel. Every moment that I'm not waiting tables, I'm here doing this. There is no personal time for me. There is none. Which I'm okay with. I'm not saying it to like get, sympathy or anything like that. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. And honestly, like I don't have to put out breaking news reports, and I don't have to do like all this extra stuff, but it's the stuff that kind of makes the channel feel complete to me. And I don't have to review games that no one's interested in. I definitely could have gone without putting up a Run Dorothy Run review. Not too many people would have cared about that if I didn't review that game. But I want to review everything. That's the problem, right? And part of that is like because I want to hone my review skills, but the other part is that I just want to be, for the most part, I want to be well versed in everything PSVR. I don't want to be the guy that only played one level of Pop-Up Pilgrims. I want to be the guy that finished Pop-Up Pilgrims and like everyone else goes, seriously? I haven't done that yet, and that review is going to be super late. Like if you don't see a Pop-Up Pilgrims review for like 2 weeks, don't be surprised, because I want to play the whole thing and then review it. Because I have a feeling after the first 10 levels it gets better. That's a feeling. I don't know. But how much of the Parole team's time goes into the channel? This is tough. I can tell you exactly how much of Jeremy's time goes into the channel. It's the amount of time that you see him on camera, and that sounds like I'm giving him a little jab, but it's not, man. He's just so busy. His job is stressful. His relationships are stressful. His raising 2 kids, and I think he's talked about like his ex-wife and his girlfriend, and it's just a lot of stuff going on. Every so often I send him a review key and I'm like, please try this before the game's cast. And he does. And that's good, right? He's committed to this. But man, like if there's one person that like I'm really, really scared is just going to jump ship one day, it's him. Because he's so stressed out all the time. Like I'm worried, right? I'm worried. He says he's committed and I believe him, but how... I don't know. I hope he straightens his life out and figures out how to relieve some stress so that he feels happier about the time he spends here. We talked about like being therapy, like it's something like you don't want to go, right? Because it's like this thing you have to do, sometimes even, trust me, even when I'm waiting for him to get here, I'm like, I don't want to film the games cast today. I don't want to do it. Because it's work, man, and like you gotta be on camera, and you're putting yourself out there, and you're basically saying to everyone on the face of the planet is allowed to watch this, and then just shit on us if you want to. And if you're having a bad day, I mean, people are gonna know. So like, trust me, there are moments I don't want to do the games cast either. But once the camera starts rolling and Jeremy and I just start goofing off, it is like therapy, because you don't want to go. but you feel good about it, and when it's over, you feel really good. So Jeremy spends an hour and a half on the channel every week. Michelle, she was in pretty much the same boat when she was doing the Gamescast on a weekly basis. She'd spend like an hour or so doing some research for theater ahead of time, which was great. And Des is like a fucking consummate professional. He has no time to be doing this, but yet he finds time. He finds time to review games. And man, do I have a hard time letting go and saying, hey, go ahead. You want to review Apex Construct? That'll save me a ton of time. And I have such a hard time letting go because Without Parole is my fucking baby, man. It's the thing that I started, and I'm very, very controlling of it. Right? And so releasing my firm grasp occasionally, momentarily, to let somebody like Des do a review is stressful, you know. And then I anxiously await the audio file to come through so I can listen to his review. And very often, I don't want to say I don't like it, but because it's not a review. His reviews are not written the way I would write reviews. Luckily, thankfully, otherwise they would just be my words coming out of Dez's mouth, right? But there's always this moment of dissatisfaction when I listen to his reviews for the first time, and I go, oh man, you didn't say the things that I would have said. And then eventually, you know, my brain starts working again, and I go, well, right, because he's not me, because he looks at a game differently than I would. And you guys have been very, very vocal about the fact that you love Des reviews, and I love Des reviews too because you love them, right? And so I've started trusting him more, and try to give him more opportunities to kind of flex his reviewer muscle. So when there's the occasional Des review, you know that there's time behind that. He has to spend so much time playing the game, and then forming thoughts and writing the review, and then recording the voiceover, and then sending that to me. And then when I inevitably say, hey, I need another version of this because I don't like the way that this sentence sounds, or you ran all these words together and I don't know what you said, you know, he's very, very accepting of my criticisms, and then very accepting of like the way I chop up his reviews and chop a lot of it out. So Des is killing it, and Why We Love PSVR is not the same show for him to do as it is for me, because I've been on the PSVR beat since day one. I've played all these games. I already played all these games, right? So when we do a Why We Love episode, I'm already intimately familiar with that game. I've already played through the whole thing. Most likely I've beaten it, but I of course I have to go back and play it for at least an hour to refresh my memory, and then remember some of the intricacies. But Des isn't just playing it for an hour for a show. He's playing the whole game. Des is basically playing 1 to 2 full PSVR games every single week so that we can film the show. It's crazy. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he finds time. Because I have the time to do it, but this channel is my life. He has like a whole real life times 3 besides this channel. So how much time does Des spend? Quite a bit. In fact, I as much as I love Jeremy and Michelle, Des would be the first person I'd hire as soon as this channel is profitable, as soon as somebody's able to be hired, because obviously he's shown his commitment by doing reviews, and I think he would be great on the morning show. We could sit around and drink coffee, the whole thing, and yeah. And so the great thing that I said this to Des at work the other day, that what I love about what we're doing to Des right now with throwing a game or two at him every single week for Why We Love PSVR. And I keep saying a game or two because we very often film 2 episodes at a time, just in case, right? Just in case we can't film one week, or because that's happened many times, or just in case life gets in the way, if work was incredibly hard. We film Friday night after work, after the longest shift of our week. We're all like super tired and we're running on fumes, caffeinated to death, and then we go, oh shit, now we gotta go film an episode of Why We Love PSVR. So we try to film 2 whenever we can, just to get ahead. But so what I love about that is that Dez is becoming a PSVR. He's like a professional, man. Like, he is, every single week he gets another game or 2 games, or when he reviews a game, 3 games under his belt, something that he can speak intelligently about for the rest of his life. He is now intimately familiar with these games, and that's phenomenal, right? So and so he's the kind of person that I need around, because he is very committed to all this, and he's becoming very well versed in the PSVR ecosystem. That's fantastic. Holy crap. Oh, that's it. We got one more question from Justin Sadowski saying, why do you deny that Perfect is the best thing on PSVR? If you guys aren't familiar with Perfect, Perfect is a vacation simulator. It's really just awful. You can't do anything except like throw rocks into water, or like pick up a lantern and swing it, and you can only stand in one place, and it's not very beautiful, and yeah. It was $10 when I bought it, and I felt pretty ripped off. But Justin Sadowski bought it because I told him how bad it was, and he loves it because he's that kind of person. There's a lot of bad shit on PlayStation VR, but I think Perfect is the worst of it. I secretly play it all the time. All right, you guys, I can only imagine that was like a 17-hour AMA. So if you stayed with me the entire time, make sure you, in the comments here on Patreon, let me know you stuck with me the whole time. Because I can't imagine it was interesting unless I was answering your specific question. And I wanted to answer everyone's question. I wanted to take my time and do this episode properly because, like I said, I'm committed to a schedule. And when things don't go up on time, like, I want to make it up to you, you know? So here it is. This should have been up Sunday, and now it's going up early Thursday. All right, you guys. I'm always down to do more AMAs. It's a lot of fun. I get to kind of kick back and basically, it's kind of like a games cast by myself. It's strange. But yeah, if you want to see more of this, let me know. If you have ideas for other Patreon Litterbox episodes, let me know, because I'm always sort of figuring these things out at the last minute. I always forget it's my turn until the last minute. Speaking of which, this isn't even my turn. I did it last week. Whose turn was it? This is probably Michelle's turn. Fucking Michelle. I love you. All right, you guys, for another episode of The Litterbox, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for your Patreon support. Holy crap, guys, you're all fucking amazing. We couldn't do this without you, and I say that literally. You know, we always say, oh, it's just $1 to you, but some of you guys are giving us way more than $1, and we really appreciate that. And if you're only giving us $1, that's awesome, because let me tell you something, it adds up. It really does. You know, eventually, like, if we could get like a few thousand people giving us each person giving us $1 each, that adds up very, very quickly. And that means the more money that comes in through Patreon, it means the more time I can spend working on this channel and the less time I have to spend waiting tables. So thank you so much. You guys are like, you're at the forefront of like making this whole without parole thing happen. All right, before we get into hashtag Bryan cries and gets all emotional and shit, I'm going to call it a night, drink some more coffee, and then begin editing this and uploading it, because, as you know, it takes fucking forever. You guys have a great night. I love you all.